Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. I'm Ocean, I'm an American expat living in Colombia. I'm an OIF veteran that after leaving the service navigated the civilian life for a bit. I came down to South America, making Colombia my home. I've lived in Medellín for a couple of months. I lived in Pereira almost a year and a half now. So I'd like to make a comparison video between both of the cities. See if you're an expat, if you're a traveler, or just someone who's curious about Colombia. You might find this interesting and hopefully a little bit helpful. So tune in. So move, yo, I'm doing a YouTube video. So let's kick things off with food, because who doesn't love a good eat, right? Medellín, being the bigger city, obviously is gonna have a bit more choices in restaurants and street food. Thanks to the American expats, the European expats coming in over the past few years, you'll find a lot of international cuisine, Italian, Mexican, American, whatever, you name it, you'll find it in Medellín. Pereira also has a good selection, although it being a bit smaller, it does have pretty much everything that you're looking for, but as I mentioned, on a smaller scale. Where Pereira really shines is affordability. Meals at local spots can cost you around 13K to 15K Colombian, which is about $3 American, $3-4 American. If you're eating the menu of the day, which they'll have for breakfast and lunch. I don't really usually eat it for dinner, but for breakfast and lunch, it comes in clutch, because they'll have some breakfast with some beans, rice, which they call it calentado, some eggs, and give you some good protein. And for lunch, they'll give you a pretty good portion, soup. It starts off with a soup, then you'll get your main dish, and most places even give you a drink with that, some sort of lemonade or freshly made juice right there. And while Medellín has their signature dish, the bandeja paisa, all around the Pereira, you're gonna have the coffee axis. So you're gonna have Santa Rosa, which has these sausages that are local to them. Salento, which has some very good eating and some very good local food as well. On a smaller scale, you'll find food in Pereira that's international as well as local. You'll find it more affordable, but Medellín is gonna have much more selection. So next thing that really defines your experience as an expat is the locals. In Medellín, I found Paisa culture to be really welcoming, friendly at first. However, there is a large number of expats that have been acting up around the city of Medellín, traveling for the usual drugs, tourism, sex tourism, and that, along with Airbnb rentals driving up the price for locals, has caused some tension between that community and the expat community. So I would say that in Pereira, you're going to get welcomed a little bit better. In Pereira, on the other hand, I've always felt completely different. It's the axis has a sort of like a U.S. Southern charm to it, all around the coffee axis. It's people are much more curious. They're hospitable, and they're a little bit easier to connect with. It didn't feel as much as a divide between locals and foreigners over there in Pereira, not yet at least. How about nature and the surroundings? So both cities are surrounded by beautiful nature, but I feel like Pereira takes the crown here, where Medellín has plenty of mountains, parks. Pereira is closer to the variety of outdoor activities, rivers, waterfalls, coffee farms that you'll find. You'll even have the Nevado Ruiz, where you'll see snow and you'll get that chillier temperature. So the coffee axis has a little bit more of that variety. The climates are pretty similar in both cities, with sort of like a spring-like weather. It's never more than about 73 degrees all around, all year round. There is some rain in both cities. When it starts raining, it can really get going. But most of the time you'll have clear skies in Pereira. Medellín, it used to rain quite a bit. I've found when I was there, it wasn't the case. But it can't be that can be the case by different seasons. The climate, as far as like the cold, at times both cities get a little bit cool. With Pereira, I feel being a little bit cooler with that proximity to the Nevado Reeds. And when it comes to lifestyle, Medellín is fast-paced as a metropolitan city with those metropolitan city vibes. The nightlife is unmatched with areas like Provenza, Poblado, offering a ton of clubs, bars, and restaurants. With that comes a bit of a safety concern, but we'll touch a bit more on that later. Pereira, on the other hand, is more relaxed. You'll still find the clubs, the bars. It's smaller, so everything feels a bit more personal, and you don't have to deal with the same traffic as well or long commutes. Love how easy it is to rent a motorcycle in Pereira, rent a car, and travel the surrounding areas. That's what I did myself. I've been renting a motorcycle ever since I got to Pereira. It's about 150K weekly, which is about $35, $33. And I've rented motorcycles all the way up to $70 weekly. It's very affordable, and it's a great way to see the countryside. So the next thing is pretty straightforward. Medellín is more expensive, just outright, especially in areas like El Poblado, where expats tend to travel and live a little bit more. Pereira is much more affordable across the board. Housing, food, transportation, everything is just a bit more affordable in Pereira. For example, like I mentioned, the motorcycle rental, to rent a motorcycle in Medellín was a bit tougher. It seemed to have much more like mainstream tourist rentals where they had closer to American prices. In Pereira, you could rent a motorcycle that's usually used to deliver a Rappi, and the same price that they offer people to deliver a Rappi, they could offer to you, and you could use that motorcycle to explore the countryside. You'll find these deals usually around Facebook Marketplace. That's where I've always used for the motorcycle rentals. And in Pereira, as well as Medellín, there's a large veteran community as well, like an American OIF veteran community, so much that they have HCA clinics. HCA clinics, if you're not familiar with, they're clinics that take the Foreign Medical Program, which is the program that veterans use when they're traveling abroad and they want to use the VA healthcare system. So both cities have a clinic. I've found it to be easy to get care in the clinic in Pereira. Actually found it much more convenient. The people way more friendly than in the United States, and the service it's just leagues above the service that the VA gives you in the United States. So 5 stars for those HCA clinics, both in Medellín and Pereira. I just want to give a big shout out to them. Now, safety is a big factor for everyone moving abroad. While Medellín has a lot to offer, it also has its risks. Popular outdoor activities like Parque RV. If you're climbing up to Tres Cruces, there's some known criminal activity in these spots. A lot of time when you're going, they're warning you to be careful with these criminal bands that, they travel together looking for tourists, steal your GoPro, your camera, your iPhone, whatever. So you do have to be a little bit more cautious in Medellín. In Pereira, like I mentioned, there's waterfalls, rivers, and a lot more things to really take advantage of. Like you could really in Pereira drive up on the side of the road to a waterfall, park your motorcycle there, and head in with relatively feeling safe, right? In Medellín, it's tough to do that. In Medellín, you have Laureles, and you have, I believe, Envigado are some places where if you travel further in, you're going to have some waterfalls and great places to, enjoy the outdoor activities. But like I mentioned, there's a lot of criminal activity roaming around these areas looking for tourists. In Pereira and all around the coffee axis, I felt like I could really just drive that motorcycle, park on the side of the road, take a dip in whatever waterfall, whatever river, and without it being a huge safety concern. I could also take my phone to different places without it being that concerning for my safety as well. What about the expat community? So Medellin has a much larger expat community, of course, being the larger city, the city where people have been traveling to the most, has gained popularity since, I believe, like 2016. So you're going to have a way more developed expat community, much more language meets and places where Americans and Europeans, Australians, whatever, can congregate with the locals. And you'll have a lot of the locals speaking English, so that barrier is not going to be there. In Pereira, you will probably need to speak Spanish a bit more. And you're going to have a lot more events in Medellin and Pereira. If you do have the events, it's tougher to find people who speak English. But I feel like that's fantastic, because it's a great way to immerse yourself in the local population, the local culture, and learn Spanish. That if it's something that, if traveling South America is something that you're looking into, this will definitely come in handy. Pereira's expat, like I mentioned, community is much smaller, but I did mention those HCA clinics before, so you will find some veterans and some great guys just traveling around the city. I did find also Pereira easier to integrate with the locals. So if you are an expat in Pereira that speaks Spanish, you will probably find it easier to kind of like meet people and meet truer friends than in Medellin, where everybody is such a big city, where everybody's just kind of like worried about their own thing and what they're doing. So if you're planning on living on one city or the other, learning Spanish, I do feel is key, especially if you're going to do so for long term. It'll open up a lot of doors for you. Next is accessibility and transportation. Medellin's metro system is one of the best in Latin America. It's super affordable. Pereira doesn't have a metro per se, but it's a much smaller city. Getting around is much cheaper. Taking those Ubers, those Didis, it's much easier. They have motorcycle taxis and regular taxis. And like I mentioned, Pereira is a much smaller city, so those prices are going to come down. And around Pereira, you're also going to have Manizales, Santa Rosa, Salento, Finlandia, and all those beautiful cities that you want to travel to and see all these different attractions. Well, bus ride from Pereira to these cities are never more than like $3-4. So you could always catch a ride there and then use those wheelie Jeeps that you see everywhere, that you've probably seen a video about, the coffee access. And those wheelie Jeeps will take you in between towns as well. So there's a ton of transportation opportunities or transportation methods that are available to you as an expat. Understanding Spanish is like, I'm gonna say it again, is a big plus, especially when using these transportation methods. You're gonna be able to ask questions easier than being on your phone, and you're gonna be able to just kind of like assimilate into the culture a little bit more and a little bit better while riding these buses, these wheelies. Might even meet some local people that will give you a different perspective on where to go. And Pereira, Manizales, Salento, everywhere around the coffee access has a ton of hidden spots that the locals know about that you're not going to find on Google. So, getting to know people speaking Spanish, also a great way to find out some other spots like this. If you love the outdoors, both cities are incredible experiences. But the coffee access, like I said, it has way more versatility from hiking and cycling, day trips, nearby coffee farms. Pereira is just a little bit hard. It's hard to beat. Plus, it's a 3-hour drive to Cali. You have the Cauca Valley right there, so you'll have all the activities from the Cauca Valley as well. Medellin is more modern. It's a developed city with amenities that, as you'd expect. Pereira, while it's smaller, it's growing rapidly. It's a lot of untapped potential, especially for business opportunities. If that's something that you're looking into, it's exciting to see how much is developing, really. And you have Pereira there. Across the bridge, you have Dos Quebradas, so it's really two cities in one. So personally, Pereira has left a bigger mark on me. I connected with people a bit more and the culture in ways that I didn't in Medellin. The warmth of the locals, the safety, unique experiences all around the coffee axis. It really made my stay in Pereira special. That said, both cities offer their own unique charm. Medellin is vibrant, it's full of opportunities, while Pereira has a more laid-back atmosphere that's surrounded by nature. Both of them are surrounded by nature, just a little bit more on Pereira. And it really all comes down to what you're looking for. So I really appreciate you tuning in. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. For more content, keep following me. And I'll see you guys on the next video. Thank you so much. Take care.